Heracles says, Bruce, I have a theory about why Alex, Candace, Tucker, and others ditched Trump when they did. I think they are owned by the City of London MI6. So, on the hierarchy of city-states, if London, D.C., and the Vatican are all outside of control, I mean, is the Vatican at the top? Where does Washington, D.C. and London fit into the city-state pyramid? Some believe the Vatican is the continuation of the Roman Empire that never fell. These are all big questions that, of course, deserve 8-hour deep dives, which I have been working on. Blooded Sky says, I've taken a deep dive into the West Memphis 3 case. In short, I think they did it, but I think there were others with them for whatever reason were protected. Yeah, that's a tough case. There's definitely other individuals who have some information. Now, yeah, it's really tough. If you haven't checked out the West Memphis 3 series on MINDSHOCK, the most comprehensive, exhaustive series on the case, I do have a few more episodes coming. They might have been involved with some kind of satanic occult activity, but not specifically involved with the deaths of the boys, and individuals may have overlapped. So, yeah, that's a really tough, that's such a tough case. Because other witnesses report seeing satanic occult activity in that exact area at other times. Now, coincidence theorists would all maintain that's all coincidental, but Aaron says the 13 Venetian families. Richie Rich says interdimensional shape-shifting mice are the hardest to catch. Quite the uphill battle. Well, what are you talking about? The interdimensional shape-shifting mice that are still alive, or are you talking about the ghosts of interdimensional shape-shifting mice that are haunting locations? Welcome, Flat Bob. Bloated Sky says, you may be right. Sadly, we'll never know for sure. I don't know. Call me an optimist, but I think in a lot of these cases, JonBenet Ramsey, Maura Murray, like all of these cases that have covered Springfield 3, I think enough information exists that they will be solved. I mean, a ton has been covered up, but the nature in which it was covered up offer clues to point at those who are doing the covering up and why. So I'm not going to just outright say that that's going to lessen the chance. Because something got covered up, that doesn't necessarily lessen the chance of the case being solved. I mean, in a lot of cases it can, when there's just absolutely nothing, when there's almost no evidence to begin with, and then it's covered up. Those cases, yes. But in cases where there's seemingly quite a bit of evidence plus cover-up, I think those can definitely be solved. Jeff U1P says, Bruce, are the old world buildings made with geopolymers or not? Because that would make process very much more easy. That's an interesting question. Let's not fall for false dichotomy logical fallacies. Maybe some of them are, some of them are not. Heracles says, London controls the commodities, pricing and shipping, commercial insurance pricing. MI6 was controlling Iran and Venezuela from the days when BB set up their infrastructure. They used them for forced scarcity in the markets. And, yeah, I mean, we're in the totem pole as well, because, I mean, if all the world's a stage and the countries are just kind of like different farms, all owned by the same shareholders at the top, and then all of the coincidence theorist, bootlicker, statist sheep, they think countries are real, and all of, like, real in the sense that there are no string pullers, and that they're all independent countries. Ronnie Thomas says, hey Bruce, don't forget the Las Cruces Bowling Alley Massacre of 1990. I did not forget. That's been on the list for a while. I have a file on that. Yeah, let me look at this. So, yeah, I got another week. Yeah, in about a week, I should have a lot more free time to do, to catch up on all these cases. I might even be doing one like maybe every other day. I'll be able to do a true crime case on all the ones that I forgot about. And yeah, my voice was gone, so I couldn't do the Columbine anniversary stream, unfortunately, but yeah, I'll still be doing more episodes there. I'm still gonna do a Q&A on that, and then I do have more covered up FBI files on that as well. Heracles says the hidden hand used to control the markets was from London. But yeah, I mean, my point was about who was pulling their strings. Is the Vatican pulling their strings, and did the Roman Empire never fall? I will be continuing that line of reasoning in the True History of the World podcast series. If you haven't checked those out, check those out. I have 2 episodes on that, plenty more coming. Jeff U1P says, I've seen in pillars sometimes ridges which indicate the method of geopolymers. That's why. But it would still be amazing with the population so low. Heracles says, I'm still hoping Trump is ending the controlled demise of the West to end the NWO technocracy. Sarah says, I was wondering why I didn't do the Columbine stream. Yeah, my voice was completely gone. It's still not great right now, but I guess it's good enough, right? I just can't laugh. I can't laugh hard, so maybe we shouldn't do too many Alex Jones clips, but perhaps just a couple. Heracles says, I still believe in the bloodlines at the top, but I don't know if it is still 13 families. Well, here's the thing. Okay, let's go to Exhibit A here regarding the pyramid. I've posted this before. This is one of the best graphics I've ever seen, containing the most amount of information aggregated on this topic. I haven't seen too many people, or actually anybody, post this. No, this is not the one. This isn't even the one. This is the basic one. I've seen people post this one. So you have the Crown Council of 13, but that's nowhere near the top in my opinion. Based on all available information, I actually believe that this is nowhere near the top. So let me bring up the other one. The other one, I think I've never seen anybody post it. I don't remember where I got it. And for some reason, YouTube doesn't even want me to... YouTube won't let me post it. That's weird. What the heck? Hold on, let me do another one here. For some reason, it doesn't want me to do the big one that I talked about before. So this graphic, the basic Illuminati structure and its relation to cooperating satanic bodies. That's an interesting phrasing. Cooperating satanic bodies. It's more of a 3D pyramid here where you see the special councils and committees here at the top of the special positions which are above the these I guess you'd call them cults. So you have the original Bavarian Illuminati with 13 degrees here on the left side. But then you see in the middle you have 6 lifetime positions, specialty positions of witches and master witches. And then you have tapped candidates, Order of the Skull and Bones, and other Illuminati orders here, which are knights, patriarchs, Skull and Bones leaderships, various other societies here. Then you have the Minerval Order of To-Ove. Not a lot of people talk about these, but this seemingly includes Knights Templar 6. And then you have the Organized Satanism in Hubs and the Brotherhood. Black Brotherhood, Red Brotherhood. And then the Great White Brotherhood at the top here. So, I haven't seen people discuss this particular one either, but there's yet another one, which for some reason it's like glitching. I did a whole episode, almost a whole live Q&A, I think. We went over this. It's not letting me post it. Hold on, I might have to actually just bring up the whole clip. Because for some reason it doesn't want me to put up the image here. Yeah, YouTube gets really weird. I don't know how their AI algorithm just like wants to prevent certain things from being shown. Like the occult NASA patches. Let me catch up with some comments here while I get the other graphic up. That includes more than I've ever seen and included anywhere. Blooded Sky says, I wondered myself that if the Roman Empire actually fell, if it didn't, what would be the related explanation, if any, for the so-called Dark Ages? I will be going over all of that in the Real History of the World series. Basically, it would be tied into Tartaria, and the Dark Ages narrative is, again, if this is Satan's world and the truth is inverted, the Dark Ages would have been a period of incredible technological advances, possibly the Age of Tartaria, possibly related to the millennial reign of Christ. If that is true, I'm not claiming it is. It could also be simply described that way and have been something else. Just like Satan's little season, it can fit all of the variables of what's going on, but it doesn't necessarily mean that's exactly what it is. It could be something similar to that. Because a lot of coincidence theorists, they immediately fall into these false dichotomies. Either it's true or it's not true. Flat Bob, come on, you gotta ease up on the comedy. My voice box can't handle it. Flat Bob says, Trump is an expletive tard, and he is a puppet who is intentionally expletive the world to see his master's wishes. Jukosaurus says, the missing and dead scientist expletive that's going on is literally the first plot of the first Kingsman movie. I've seen that movie. I don't even remember that being... Yeah, I don't actually remember much of that movie. Blooded Sky asks, who amongst the rulers isn't a puppet? Well, Ron Paul, possibly. Well, I don't know about rulers, but yeah, out of the politician class, aka, criminal scum, known as politicians, Ron Paul is pretty much the only one I could think of that could maybe pass the sniff test. Because didn't he just admit to only being involved in politics to just veto everything, to try to minimize the amount of power government has on every issue? I believe that was his position. Heracles says, I believe they added 700 or 800 years to the timeline. There's a channel called Static in the Attic. Is that supposed to be covered? A good hypothesis? Added or removed? Because, yeah, I've seen quite a few different theories that can make some compelling cases for both. And obviously, which years is also very, very integral to theories adding up or not. Aaron says, why at election time did John Kerry and others make trips to Antarctica? Yeah, we went over that a little bit when we talked about Antarctica before. Flat Bob says, I hate all of these mother expletive-ers, including all the people I don't know. You hate Ron Paul, really? What is Ron Paul? Like, can anybody actually name a thing Ron Paul has done that was bad or voted in favor of adding government power in any way? Jeff says the technocracy will probably come with the concept of control dystopia or the concept of no poverty philanthropy utopia. That would be my tactic if I wanted to control us or push it through. Well, the thing is, when you're dealing with bootleggers, when you're dealing with coincidence theorists on this scale, in the post-Epstein, post-COVID era, that they're still goofs, like Alex Boge on Twitter, like Craig of Fight the Flat Earth. By the way, for those that know, Craig finally blocked me on Twitter. He finally collapsed. So I don't know if that leads credence to the theory that he's not primarily a humiliation fetishist, And it was over him not understanding what the Antarctic Treaty System was. So he was saying that there's nothing preventing anybody from going to Antarctica. And then I posted, I knew he was going to jump like the Dunning-Kruger puppet that he is. I hold up the hoops, he jumps through. He can't help it. He doesn't have the mental capacity not to jump. So he said that's not part of the treaty. So there's obviously the Antarctic Treaty System. It's like the founding documents of the country. There's not just one document. There's many documents. You got Declaration of Independence. You got the Constitution, all the amendments. There's a lot to go over. And he just kept spamming the no true Scotsman fallacy by pretending that Antarctic Treaty documents aren't part of the Antarctic Treaty. Like, it doesn't apply because it wasn't part of the original treaty, just the first document. So if it's not part of the first document, somehow it's not real? Somehow the Antarctic Treaty doesn't exist and it's not going to be enforced? Like, the level of retardation there was sky high for Craig, but it just broke him completely to the point where he had to block me. So I don't know, just that level of, he's always been illiterate, but that level of basic illiteracy in not understanding what the word system means, apparently that's what broke him. That's what finally broke him. And I think he was also one of the goofs that goes on and on about how when you block somebody, you lose. So white flag accepted, Craig. White flag accepted. Blooded Sky says, even Prince Harry went to Antarctica a few years back. I was dying to know what the heck was up with sending him there. What is going on there? There's a few different theories. Some people believe Antarctica's like the land of demons, etc. But we went over on the most important documentary of all time, Say or Say, To Be Free, where the person that created the documentary postulated that Antarctica was actually just a tiny little island off of South America, and there's plenty of other larger continents, and that's where people are going. That's where a lot of them are going. So yeah, if you haven't seen that, check that out. Very, very interesting food for thought there. Heracles says, Trump has secured all of the choke points for oil in the world, and America is now the world's largest oil deporter. Flat Bob says, sorry, when I'm drinking, I have no filter. I'm still kind of shocked how you don't crack yourself up. Because you post some of the funniest comments ever, and you're saying you don't laugh at them? Jukusaurus says, Sam Jackson's character kidnaps rich and influential people to either willingly implant the chip in them, and if they refuse, hold them hostage in his dungeon. Why do I not remember any of that? I've seen the movie. Huh, that's weird. Papa Pump says, I think if Rand Paul wasn't on the team, he'd be dead by now. You mean Rand or Ron? Because they're two drastically different people. His son Rand, I'm not really a fan of. He's got a long list of questionables. But Ron Paul, I've never seen anything questionable on Ron Paul, which is kind of curious. That's kind of curious. Flat Bob says, wait until he finds out about his illegitimate child with Sartain and Destiny. Oh, man. Oh, yeah, that hurts the voice box. That hurts the voice box. Blooded Sky says, Rand looks like a very surprised Merrill Lynch executive all the time. Yeah, he's highly questionable. I mean, not as questionable as all those other scum in there, but he's no Ron. Rand is no Ron. I don't know, maybe they didn't kill him because they didn't want to make him a martyr. And they didn't want, because sometimes, I mean, it depends on the situation, right? Sometimes it might hurt the cause of the Illuminati to take someone out. It might do more harm than good. It might be easier to try to control them or use them as a useful idiot. I'm gonna see if I can get an Alex Jones clip from yesterday. He was actually in rare form yesterday. I don't want to say Prime Jones, but he was in rare form in entertainment value yesterday. And then I also, yeah, I gotta get this image up. Let's see here. Is this posted? Okay, yeah, I found it. Alright, hold on a second. Oh, and we also gotta talk Charlie Sheen. I don't think we ever gave Charlie Sheen his flowers on this podcast. We gotta talk Charlie Sheen. Is Lord Zed in here? I think Lord Zed would definitely be on board with that. Let's see here. Alright. Okay. Get some Alex Jones in here. Alright, let me see if I can find this pyramid. And yeah, we also have to talk about the Corey Feldman accusations on Sheen, because to my knowledge, that is the only underage accusation against Sheen ever. Whereas all the other people they accused kind of lines up with what others have said. True or not, I'm not claiming anything is true or untrue. This is, of course, MINDSHOCK. Where the only thing we know for sure is that we don't know anything for sure. And we might not even be sure about that. Wait, where's Zed? Zed's not here. Where is Lord Zed? How could we do a stream without Flat Bob and Lord Zed? And actually, Scott Steiner, Big Papa Pump. Blooded Sky says, winning. Well, and we gotta go over all the tiger blood. Illuminati rituals. Okay, it was on the episode where I discussed the Giza Intelligence Group. So, hold on a second here. The least known Illuminati secret society. Let me just bring up that clip. For some reason, it won't let me just put the image up that I had in the background of that. But here's the clip on the Giza Intelligence Group. So this is the image. Yeah, it won't. For some reason, it doesn't want me to put up the image like that. There's a whole bunch more at the top of this image. Alright, hold on, let's see. Cue the elevator music. Okay, why is it not? Alright, I have yet another image here, which we should go over. So here's yet another pyramid here. 99% of humanity slave labor. And this is just kind of interesting how all of these pyramids have different hierarchies, have different levels here. So it's almost this pyramid is the elements in the interlocking chain of command which constitute the power structure of our invisible world government. Here they have the white pope, the antichrist, and the black pope at the top. The Vatican, Holy Roman Merovingian Zionist New World Empire. Which is kind of curious that they put all that together, because from what I've read, the Holy Roman Empire and the Merovingians were kind of distinct, the Merovingian kings. Perhaps they were also infiltrated and co-opted, like every organization. So if they originally were good guys, and then they were corrupted or replaced, but kept the name. Evil always comes in the name of good. Alright, I still want to get the other image up here. I do not understand why YouTube just does not like this, this other image. Is it just too much truth in it? Yeah, I'm gonna have to just post the video of the live Q&A with it, I guess. Because it's not working.
Hey, just a reminder, if InfoWars gets shut down tomorrow, you'll still be able to find us on X at...
We want to move into Thursday evening, rolling into Friday morning. I'll be here documenting it. They think if it's a big victory, it's going to completely backfire on them, already has. So our numbers continue to surge, and the new Alex Jones Network is now launching. God bless you all for your support. It really, the credit goes to all of you. I noticed people on X particularly, but all over the place, I just see comments with millions of views, just comments. They're like, we're confused. We tune in one day and Jones is praising Trump. We tune in another, he's attacking him. Yeah, that's what I do. I call balls and strikes. So huge articles, videos. I wasn't even looking for them. I just saw it everywhere. Millions of comments, just crazy everywhere. Most of it positive, but about a third of them like, hey, you're not allowed to praise the DOJ indicting the SPLC. You're not on the Trump train anymore. What the hell does that mean? The SPLC has been targeting me and harassing me and behind lawsuits against me forever. They're a terrorist organization, and when Trump does something good, I'm going to cheerlead it. And when he does something bad, I'm going to freak out over it. Like getting us into this war 56 days in, economic plan that I call balls and strikes. So huge articles, videos. I wasn't even looking for.
All right, let's see what kind of thespianistic form Jones was in yesterday. Is it going to approach his prime?
I just saw it everywhere. Millions of comments, just crazy everywhere. Most of it positive, but about a third of them like, hey, you're not allowed to praise the DOJ indicting the SPLC. You're not on the Trump train anymore. What the hell does that mean? The SPLC has been targeting me and harassing me and behind lawsuits against me forever. They're a terrorist organization, and when Trump does something good, I'm going to cheerlead it. And when he does something bad, I'm going to freak out over it. Like getting us into this war 56 days in, consumer sentiment all-time low, inflation exploding, derailing Trump's economic plan that was excellent. I'm pissed off because Trump started going sideways on what we put him in there for. That is so elementary. That is so simple. And I'm mad at the people that misrepresent and attack me, not because they're attacking me, but because they really believe that when his administration has bad advice and does bad things, we're supposed to sit down and shut up. That is mental illness. That's like the Democrats and their cult. But I'm seeing, some good stuff here out of Trump. And from internal sources, and I told you this a month ago, but now it's all over the news, confirmed. He knows he got set up. He wants an off-ramp. But the Iranians know their back's against the wall and that we'll just hit them again in 6 months. So they're not making deals with Trump. And they've got the cards because of the Strait of Hormuz. And that means they got us by the economic testicles. Just like the CIA assessment and just like the Defense Department assessment told him, oh, I guess they're Qatari agents too, right? So we're going to be getting into all of it today. But the big story, I'm not going to even get to till we come back in 60 seconds and a bunch of our radio stations join us. They don't care the first 5 minutes. Trump's latest Truth Social post, which is absolutely true and is the keys of victory if he could just get the DOJ to do it. Now, I had no hope they'd ever do anything good to this SPLC thing, so cross your fingers, say a prayer, count your lucky stars, click your ruby slippers.
Is there anybody who doesn't think Alex Jones is funny?
But if he does this, it's game over for the New World Order. We'll be right back. It is Friday, April 24th, 2026. I am your battle-scarred, battle-hardened chronicler, Alexander Emmerich Jones, coming to you from deep in the heart of Texas, transmitting worldwide. All right. Trump has been doing some really good things the last few days, and I've always promised you, I'm just going to call balls and strikes. I don't think anybody with half a brain can disagree with me, that the SPLC thing is devastatingly delicious and strikes right at the heart of these people. And I'm seeing real fear in the eyes and the body language and the statements of the Democrats that the Southern Poverty Law Center for free speech. Meanwhile, who's running the KKK? The Grand Wizards, the leadership, the Democrats. But, I mean, Senator Byrd was a Grand Wizard. But no criticism from Jesse Jackson or Al Sharpton about that. So now Trump has rightly called for the 2020 presidential election to be permanently wiped from the books. If Southern Poverty Law Center convicted of fraud. Now that's the big question. Will this indictment be mishandled as the Comey and others were, Letitia James, poverty law, and with universities when you need to come join universities when the youngs, you need to come join our leftist group. And now everybody gets it and is talking about it all over the place. Mostly synagogue attacks on Jewish cemeteries. It turns out being staged by leftist Jews.
This is interesting because so many people say he never criticizes Israel, but we've actually gone over a bunch of times where he went after Israel. I mean, let's go over all of them again, actually, for the coincidence theorists. Let's go over all of them. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Nazi Sharon has invaded the West. That Nazi Sharon has invaded the West Bank. They're slaughtering innocent people. And I'm sick of worshiping Israel. Did you know back in the 1960s they bombed the USS Liberty knowing it was one of our ships because it caught the radio chatter of them killing thousands of Palestinian children during that invasion? And they torpedoed it as they begged for hours on the radio. And LBJ sat there in 63 and let them do it. That's in this Baltimore Sun story. I don't support the Palestinians either. They're all hyped up and psychotic. But Israel's going to get us nuked, always backing them up like this. Israel calls the Palestinians goyim or cattle or dogs or subhuman. They keep them on concentration camps. I got video of them taking Palestinian women's tomatoes they grow and breaking their water containers and stealing. That's why you have this crap. And our children are going to die. We're going to get nuked because of this. Iran's got the nukes now. Syria. We're going to have nuclear war because Israel likes to go around bombing everybody.
You know what's curious, though? If Alex is being used as a useful idiot here to promote this propaganda of nuclear weapons, if you haven't checked out the... I did 2 episodes, Are Nukes Even Real? Check those out on MINDSHOCK. We go over it logically with all the receipts. Papa Pump saying, after this, Jones was replaced with a clone. Let's continue our examination here of his criticisms of Israel, which people claim he's never gone after.
Shut up.
And yeah, some of these clips are far more recent.
Come up for Israel. For Israel. I posted a video today. Shut up, come up for Israel. I posted a video today of a dancing bear. It was just cute and funny on my X account. Boom, boom, boom. Not talking about the Jews. You'll talk about anything but the Jews. Exactly. Exactly. If I'm in a UFC fight, I'm not sitting there thinking Jews. Or if I turn on an old Western, Jews. Or if I go take a dump, Jews. Or I cook a dinner, Jews. Or I pat my daughter on the head, Jews. Or I go to the grocery store, Jews. Or I go to church, Jews. It's Jews, 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 Jews. And it's sick. And then you've got the whole Zionist lobby and all the flavors of that loves it because it'll make all the Jews move to Israel and they can be the victim and then launch all the wars they want. They ain't going nowhere. And that's why the ADL and others have been caught creating fake Nazi groups over and over again. Look up the history. They've been caught repeatedly. So there are evil, manipulative mafias coming out of Israel.
I've just got to say it. Just got to say it. I've just got to say it. I mean, it was one thing with the last administration, and I was hoping it was a fluke and was going to stop. But, I mean, come on, folks. Every key person in the Bush administration and now in this next administration just so happen to be the sons and daughters of the founders of Israel and Mossad chiefs and people, and they're openly not even really U.S. citizens. Now, I'm against Schwarzenegger being a foreigner, and he's over here anti-gun, and he also wants all these carbon taxes and the rest of it. So, you know, it's the same thing. I'm sick of, but we don't have, you know, Austrians in every, you know, major power position. British intel's deeply infiltrated and got their people everywhere too. And in Haaretz, in the Jerusalem Post, in the agency French press, these are the headlines. Obama's choice for chief of staff puts Israel's man in the White House. And that's the headline in Israel. You know, we run the White House. We've got the White House. I mean, but then as an American citizen, I'm not supposed to mention that. I'm supposed to just sit down and shut up and go along with that. I mean, it's not enough that Israeli government runs the company that does 98% of caller ID and phone tracking in the nation. That's been mainstream news. Is it not enough that Israel has the sole contract to, quote, guard the nuclear weapons? Our own government doesn't even have control of them. Is it not enough that Israel had fingerprints all over 9/11? This nation is now completely and totally under international crime syndicate control. A consortium of wicked robber barons, black nobility, that is the old royal families of Europe, intermarried and interbred with the Rothschilds.
I mean, look at Jones dropping some bombs there. Dropping bombs. This was around the Obama administration, because he said the previous administration, the Bush administration. So this is somewhere around, I'm guessing, first term Obama, somewhere there. I guess first or beginning of Saga. Dropping some bombs right there.
What I'm getting at here, is that it is 100% true that at the heart of communism, at the heart of replacement migration is the Jewish lobby, and they see a divide and conquer strategy to do that in the culture. The globalists in general, Larry Fink, all of it, are threatened by the West and others adopting that idea, because then it doesn't give them a global plantation. But then you got the Chi-Coms and others funding that. They see that as well. They see the West, as you just defined it, there. What I'm getting at here is that it is 100% true that at the heart of communism, at the heart of replacement migration is the Jewish lobby, and they see a divide and conquer strategy to do that in the culture. The globalists in general, Larry Fink, all of it, are threatened by the West and others adopting that idea, because then it doesn't give them a global plantation. But then you got the Chi-Coms and others funding that. They see that as well. They see the West, as you just defined it, there. I mean, quite frankly, I've been to these events. A lot of the KKK guys with their hats off look like they're from the cast of Seinfeld. Literally, they're just Jewish actors. Nothing against Jews in general, but they're leftist Jews that want to, create this clash, and they go dress up as Nazis. I have footage in Austin. We're going to find it somewhere here at the office where it literally looks like the cast of Seinfeld, or like Howard Stern in a Nazi outfit. They all look like Howard Stern. They've almost got like little curly hair down, and they're just up there heiling Hitler. You can tell they're totally uncomfortable. They're totally scared, and it's all just meant to create the clash.
So yeah, no shortage of Jones going after Israel. Now, it is kind of strange that when he says, oh, they're not talking about it every second, it is weird given what he has said on Israel, and if he truly believes it. I mean, you would think it would be more of a critical talking point. You would think. You would think.
And it just goes on and on. You see the story every week. Black woman kidnapped by KKK. They carved a swastika in her chest. It's some little scratch, barely any blood. And then later it turns out she wants money. I've seen that story probably 200 times. Same story. Oh, how do I get attention? Here, let me do this. So it's not just the big organized groups like Southern Poverty Law Center are doing, or the ADL. It's throughout the whole system. And when the Southern Poverty Law Center infiltrated us, we know that's who it was, because they later published a bunch of garbage. None of it was even bad, but that's what they had. And they would walk around, we know, recording and saying, man, I hate these N-words. That was the last month this guy was here, and the crew's like, we should have told you, but we don't like to stir up trouble. But I talked to 3 different crew members, including Zimmerman. He's in the car at lunch with him, and the guy looks over and says, Josh Owens, just one of their operatives, and says, I hate these effing black people, these N-words. I'm sick of them. I hate them. And he's like, are you joking? What are you talking about? I'm a Christian. And Zimmerman was like, are you recording this or something? So that is the type of scum that we are talking about. And it even got recorded out in California at the time for a Daily Mail article. They flew this other reporter and turned out his black girlfriend that worked here, 2 different people, not Josh Owens, flew them out there to Garagos law firm, Hillary Clinton's law firm. He represents her and Michael Jackson, a bunch of stuff. And they're sitting there on the tapes. I have them. And this is all in phone calls with them at the law firm. They're like, yeah, what'll really hurt Jones is, can you say he's gay? And he goes, well, no, he's never said anything to me like that. Well, could you say it? So the guy then tells Daily Mail, well, I worked there 14 years, and this guy was a Southern Poverty Law Center, but the left recruited him into that same system. But he told the Daily Mail, I was secretly grooming him for 14 years. And just moving on from me, it's just you have to understand the magnitude of these people. So, I mean, not bragging, I don't know what the effect is, but I just can't tell you how many times on a first date, I've been a little bit promiscuous and I apologized about it, but I don't lie. I mean, with women, I just, it's usually doing a test drive on the first or second date. I mean, if there's any real energy there, the woman, you pick her up, take her to the movie, she goes, you know what, let's not go to the movies. Let's go to my apartment. Yeah, buddy, I was secretly telepathically grooming you for 14 years. Yeah, right, bro. Right, sure. That's me. But they're sitting around talking like, well, what'll get him is if we say he's gay. And these guys are so arrogant, and they're on the phone with a bunch of people not knowing it's being recorded by an FBI informant, who later gave me a bunch of it. So that's just one story, folks. It goes on and on and on and on.
So he's just getting warmed up here with the thespianism, but he's about to take it up quite a few notches. I don't know the exact minute mark, but he's about to get really, really thespianistic. Yoda Green Wiener says Alex Jones is right 90% of the time. What's the 10% he was wrong about? I hear this a lot from people. They say Alex Jones is right 90% of the time. Where is he wrong? When has he ever been wrong about anything? Papa Pump, nobody blocked you from commenting. I still see your comments here. Jeff says, crying as a man and on TV and for false cause just for the money, shake my head. Well, again, we don't really know. We don't know what level of PSYOP MKUltra operations Jones has undergone. Whether this is some kind of a clone, Bill Hicks related clone or otherwise. We don't have any of this information. So, yeah, those are all unknowns. Yoda Green Yoda. What was Alex Jones wrong about? Specifically? Some people point out the Y2K thing, but again, I don't necessarily think he was wrong there. I've hinted, I really do need to do a full episode on this. I'll say it again, though. For those that were around and watching it live unfold, there were reports that certain U.S. defense systems did go down. And then, you know, they plugged them up and everything pretty, I don't know how quickly, but relatively quickly. But the U.S. was vulnerable on Y2K. It was not a seamless transition. Now, I don't think there were mass power, I don't remember any mass power outages or anything like that specifically, but certain defense systems. Now, how would anybody prove that true without top-level security clearances? Do coincidence theorists think the U.S. government would announce, oh, by the way, our systems were down. Lucky nobody attacked. Tee-hee. I mean, what kind of mental disability do coincidence theorists have in thinking that they would actually admit it? Now, if the systems really were down, obviously they would never tell anybody about it. Because then, that, you know, you have that precedent where, oh, they could potentially be down at certain times. They would obviously pretend they were never down. I'm still waiting for... Wait. Yoda. Has Yoda put anything about what he thinks Alex Jones was wrong about?
But let me get to the big news. I'm kind of digressing. There's all this stuff coming out. It's made me had all these flashbacks. I've now been like remembering all these sagas that I never even really got into on air because I got news to cover. But it's just been one attack after the next, and all it does is piss me off. So people have been noticing, man, Jones has got even more energy than ever. Looks so happy when they're trying to shut him down. All this because, baby, once I'm in a fight, I don't wake up till I'm in a fight. I'm always my best under fire, and I need your support and prayers. Because this is all serious, but at the same time, I'm a happy warrior. Not a sunshine patriot, but a winter soldier. So, back to the big news. That's why when they killed the Autopin investigation, where they had a line of whistleblowers out the door last year, including the chief of staff of Biden, which means Obama, we broke this before it hit the news months later, that it's a committee of Obama, Hunter, Hillary Clinton, and Jill Biden, and then a couple White House lawyers, and then they would decide all the Autopin stuff. They only found 2 signatures of thousands on bills and orders and executive orders and memorandums from the president, the puppet President Biden, that he actually signed. So all of that's illegitimate, and they had them by the balls, okay? Including all those pardons for criminals and stuff that turned out the staffers just did it their own. They're like, well, let's make some money too. All of that got killed. So, of course, I'm outraged at Todd Blanche. Of course, I'm pissed off. These are our mortal enemies here. And when you're clear to fire and you got their ass, pull the political trigger. Non-violently, lovingly, liberally. But no. But now with this, and what's in the indictment's hardcore, what they're saying is hardcore, you can just see that this is a real attack on the leftist arm of the deep state because they've been going after Trump. Even though he clearly made some deals with them to just move on, they're not moving on. So Trump's figuring that out now. And I don't just think that. I have sources saying, no, that's where this is going. And that my instinct yesterday, or 2 days ago when this broke, this is the beginning of a lot more. I was told, oh, yeah, you're going to see a lot more. So I'm very seesawed, whipsawed here too, but I'm just going to call balls and strikes. Trump does this, it's good. Trump does that, it's bad. I'm just going to say it. You can disagree with me, that's fine. But don't be mad at me when I'm just going to call balls and strikes, because people either want to just be totally done with Trump or they want to just totally go with whatever is happening and not question anything like a zombie. That's stupid. He belongs to us, or did. We've been trying to get him back. And miraculously, we get involved enough and pray enough and put enough pressure on him. Maybe that's going to happen. I don't know. Believe me, we got a problem with the Democrats. I mean, everything is racism. They brainwash our kids they're bad because they're white. My 8-year-old daughter got her in a private school. Did. Homeschooled again. And about to be. And another school now. She made that decision recently, go back to homeschooling. And she comes home and she's like, is it, so it's bad that I'm white? And I'm like, well, they were just talking about how white people do all these bad things. And I was like, what class was that? And it's just everywhere. Like, she was like 6 then, yeah. And it's like, you're telling a 6-year-old that likes butterflies and kitty cats and puppy dogs, and is as sweet and innocent as it can be, you're telling my daughter she's bad because what color her skin is. I mean, that just is child abuse. That is inflicting them with guilt, just like, oh, the world's going to end because humans are bad, and show them water shipped down with the bunny rabbits being killed by bulldozers. And so that kids come home and cry, and they have record numbers of little girls killing themselves as young as like 9 years old. And the schools even have suicide prevention where they go, never put a shoelace around your neck on the coat hanger inside the stall at the bathroom and hang it like this. That will kill you. And then they have record numbers of suicide. Now 6% of all the deaths in the Netherlands are suicide. It's approaching that in Canada. I mean, they're teaching you how to hate yourself and kill yourself, or be nihilistic and just think the whole world's over. That's the plan. And they're targeting little girls with guilt that you're killing the planet and you're racist because you're white. And most of them then Stockholm syndrome over into, okay, I'm bad, I'm white, I'll be a communist, I'll be a lesbian, I'll be whatever you say, just I need to atone for my genetic guilt for who I am. Needless to say, and then you go talk to school and they all play dumb. And I talk to parents at some of the biggest Christian schools in Austin, like Trinity and places, and they don't tell them that the third grade teacher's a tranny and puts all this pride crap up, and then the parents come, and then they say, well, you can't see what's happening in the class. I mean, it's cuckoo town, folks. But it's all done on purpose. Well, we got big news on that front coming up. Netherlands considers radical legislation allowing embryos from 2 men or 2 women. That's not even a human, folks. That's a humanoid. And it gets into mitochondrial DNA not being passed on. I mean, you talk about monsters, but it's LGBT, so we can create humanoid replicants. It's okay, it's for the gay people. See, everything's like, see, I told you, the trans movement's about, if you'll accept a man being a woman when they're not, then you'll accept lab-created humanoids that are part animal, part whatever, or, well, we're 2 gay men, so we want to splice our genetics. No problem. We'll just splice 2 men's genetics. Have you studied what that does? It's exponentially dangerous. And the different procedures and ways they do it. I mean, we're talking freak show stuff here. But that's the way they do it. Oh, it's liberal, it's gay. Hey, just let 2 men get married. Okay. That's something, sure, libertarian. Next, let us splice our genetics together and make a humanoid chimera. See how it works? 10 years ago, gay marriage, America finally accepted it. What a milestone. We're progressive. We're liberal. We're open-minded. And I was like, yeah, if it stopped there, whatever. That's not, I said, watch, it's going to be everything after that. And of course, that's what it was. That was just the gates of the city being blown open so the hordes could come in. And it's Satanism and pedophile time. Yay! See how it works? 10 years ago, gay marriage, America finally accepted it. What a milestone. We're progressive. We're liberal. We're open-minded. And I was like, yeah, if it stopped there, whatever. That's not, I said, watch, it's going to be everything after that. And of course, that's what it was. That was just the gates of the city being blown open so the hordes could come in.
Isn't it crazy how just Alex Jones speaking basic common sense is so controversial and he gets so much hate? Welcome, Sandro. Papa Pump says he's a part of it. Yeah, but just look at just the common sense that this man speaks is crazy. It's crazy how it's viewed as controversial, or Andrew Tate or whatever. Just talking basic common sense is just viewed as insanity by coincidence theorists.
And it's Satanism and pedophile time. Yay! But let me get back to the big Trump thing. So Trump comes out and says, Truth Social, I'll show it to you in a minute. Trump comes out and he says, this means the whole election's overturned. This means everything Biden did is illegitimate. Like the auto pen, that they ran everything on racism. The Democrats funded and controlled the SPLC that did this, ran on Trump being a Nazi, and you add that into how much it hurt Trump in the election, which he knows, but so he won by a little, not a lot, so they were able to steal it. That's the numbers. He won by a lot this last time and won pretty big, but not as big as I predicted. A small landslide. Exactly as I said, because we have the numbers. So he's absolutely right. But how do you implement that? Well, first you point out everything Biden did is illegitimate. And then you just hammer this and hammer this. But it's not if they're convicted. They've been caught many times before. My God, Eric Holder shipped over 1 million guns out of the U.S., ordered gun shops to do it. Oh, we got some paperwork problems here. We're going to indict you unless you become a conduit to ship guns to Mexico. So we can then blame the Second Amendment. So here's the big announcement by Trump. The Southern Poverty Law Center, one of the greatest political scams in American history, has been charged with fraud. This is another Democrat hoax, along with Act Blue and many others, if it's true. Yeah, it's true, Trump. The 2020 presidential election should be permanently wiped from the books and be of no further force or effect. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President DJT. Yeah. More of that, less bombing Iran and getting the Strait of Hormuz closed and then destroying your entire economic plan. And Larry Fink's so happy because he thinks now we'll all collapse and go into debt under his global social credit score. Kind of important. And then Trump, if your legacy gets destroyed and you're discredited, they will reverse killing the carbon tax that's now globally fallen apart. But they're going to try to bring it back. So we need you to not destroy your legacy and get more good Republicans in position and support other patriots around the world, because we're returning the damn tide, Trump. And now he gets it 56 days in. Consumer sentiment is plunging. Inflation is exploding. You don't need to read a statistic to know that. You go to the grocery store, don't you?
Yeah, I still don't remember exactly where he gets back into prime form, but it's coming up. It's coming up soon. I'm not just playing this for no reason. It's coming up real soon.
Here's Bloomberg. U.S. consumer sentiment falls to record lows. Overhead shot, please. U.S. consumer sentiment falls to record lows on inflation. Asia's spiraling supply shock is coming for America. Yeah, it is. We're already hearing with our manufacturing at Bigley all sorts of problems and price increases and shortages and oh, sorry, we can't have this type of bottle anymore. It's not available. And it goes on and on and on and on. And most of what we've got is manufactured, made all here. Like almost everything. The problem is they just can't get the materials here. So you've got Trump. Oh, everything's fine. I don't care if the strait's closed. We don't need that. Open the effing strait the next day because he knows that. And what did I tell him? And what did Eric Prince tell him and the chairman of the Joint Chiefs, Kane? We all told him that. And it's so frustrating to be called a traitor. But it's 85 quadrillion D chess Q level information. What do you know about Q level? Yeah, right. The Republicans in local and state elections and other special elections are losing every damn election. Because the Democrats are back stealing and because Republicans aren't turning out. These Republicans would be winning all these seats, but barely if it wasn't for the theft, because there's been such a wet blanket thrown on things. And I want to just tell Republicans, I'm the opposite of Nick Fuentes when he says, you know, oh, just punish the Republicans, don't vote for them. No, look at good candidates and vote for them. Yeah, we need to primary Lindsey Graham and, you know, Trump's endorsing him and all this other stuff. Yeah, but no, don't because there's rotten apples, you know, and you go to the grocery store and not get any apples just because there's a couple rotten ones. That is a temper tantrum. That's not what I'm doing. No. Because the Democrats that literally run the white supremacist organizations and that literally want to turn your child into a pervert pedophile are literally hunting us. And they're part of an international global cult of evil. We'll break it all down on the other side. Share those live feeds now.
Today we celebrate the first glorious anniversary of the Information Purification Directives.
Order is the only path to stability.
Compliance is the only path forward.
Alex Jones is a fringe voice and a crackpot.
76.
A beautiful time to be alive, despite the fact there's so much evil, there's so much good that is coming out of it. That's what God.
I mean, how many people accuse Alex Jones of being a pessimist? Like, it seems like he stays relatively positive despite being involved in just the deepest of the cesspools of degeneracy, satanic filth, genocide, and just all of the evil of humanity that he's covered for decade after decade. He still seems like kind of not insane at times.
God does. He takes evil and turns it to good. The Lord works in mysterious ways. You'll find all the new coordinates, the new news site, everything at Real Alex Jones on X, on Rumble, The Alex Jones Show. So much happening, so much new stuff we're going to be launching next Friday that we haven't announced yet. And again, we have a very aggressive plan that by the end of this year to be live 19 hours a day, 5 a.m. to midnight. But that's going to be up to you supporting the broadcast at the AlexJonesStore.com. Now, let me get into this briefly. I'll get into the huge news. The Netherlands is now legalizing human cloning, but not just human cloning, lab-created humanoids.
And the other thing, like, Jones has been reporting on this for at least a decade now. And I've talked about this before as well. I've talked about human cloning for nearly a decade as well. I mean, I think I had MINDSHOCK up in 2017 maybe? And we were talking about this cloning as well.
And they're saying it's for LGBT, of course. And then I've got judges in the U.S. saying, yeah, we're going to have men come in bondage outfits in front of your 7-year-olds and make out. This is community. This is healthy. This is good. I have video. This is good. It's about how far can they go. They're like, you're hateful. You hate people. No, if two dudes want to dress up in leather and do whatever they want, you just don't do it in front of 7-year-olds. I mean, come on, people. Come on. But this is how bullied and beat over the head we become to just accept the most insane crap. They're just getting you ready to accept even more craziness. It's time to just say no to the left satanic spirit literally trying to rape our minds. We now have the degenerates at the Bloomberg-funded Onion with all their pro-pedophile, pro-child torture, kidnapping, murder shows they produce. The guy they brought over to produce the attacks on me and, quote, wear my skin. Turns out he responded to me yesterday by pledging himself to Satan.
Yeah, Jones is definitely a statist and definitely way more of a statist today than in the past. Okay, I'm gonna see if I could find some older clips of his position on voting and statism. But yeah, I don't know if that's from a controlled op position or just his ignorance or potential ignorance regarding statism itself, because he's described himself as a constitutionalist, right? I don't think he has a problem with the Constitution. So, I don't know. Has he read Lysander Spooner? I mean, he's a pretty smart guy. I mean, I want to know if somebody's ever talked to him about Lysander Spooner or statism versus freedom and the exact specifics of such. I mean, I've watched a lot of Jones footage, but I can't recall that ever happening. Let me see what I can dig up while I let it play through.
I mean, oh, it's a joke. No, it's not. Look at your body of work. You are obsessed with the darkest, most twisted crap. And it's all around us. So that's coming up. But first, the situation in the Netherlands. Similar crap in Canada. Those are the two to watch. They're the incubators. They're the hatcheries. The places where they breed these schemes for the rest of us. It's like California in general for the U.S. And the bizarre communist satanic redoubt that Canada has now become. It's a real problem. It's poison to literally poison our soul so that we're ready to fall to the tyrants. But before I go there, the great folks at Bigley, our main sponsor, they fund like 90% of the operation. They give away an amazing American-made vehicle, super truck, you name it, every month. And there's a crossover period at the end of each month where you have the old offer and the new offer for 1 week together, where when you buy any product at thealexstore.com, you get put in to win both. And in that last week, it's always was 50x entries 100 times. And most people that win do it during this period. I think basically everybody. And so you get the Ford Raptor Custom H1 Hummer. These are incredible. Plus $20,000 cash. Can win one or both for each dollar.
Yeah, Jones explicit. Yeah, I knew I was on. I knew I didn't misremember. Jones specifically said that elections are illegitimate and everything is staged. And he specifically said this in 2004 on the radio. He also said this after 2000. So 2002 to 2004, he was already talking about all elections being manipulated. So that they're staged elections. So I don't know. Yeah, I mean, these are like radio clips. I don't know if I feel like going through all of them right now, because it's gonna take forever to find the exact timestamps of when he said this, because I just looked up kind of summaries right now and the exact years. So yeah, let me see. I'll continue to try to find it here.
Spent 100 t-shirt. What I like is what I want, but these are. I just said, hey, shows you the rest of it, he's doing good. It was nitrate boost, but this is really good for you. I'll get more into that later, but let's get into something really dangerous here. Now, remember, everything you see like I'm about to cover is 30, 40 years old. This stuff is already out there. The future's already been here. We're really like in the year 2060 technology-wise, okay? And that's what the futurists and experts will tell you. AI is way more advanced. Every stuff you hear about, what they tell you the most advanced weapons are 50 years old, okay? So the big push in their literature and MIT and what they've been admitting 30 years ago was that they had on military facilities all over the U.S. animal-human chimeras, but they didn't have rights because even if they put 1% cow or 1% pig, which splices well with humans, or 1% rat, just like we don't, they test on rats, they test on pigs, because for whatever reason they're closer to us in the effects, but also, we don't reject as bad things that are closer than us in the genetics. So they've had these chimeras, admittedly 30 years ago, when I was first on air a few years, it was people were sending me, here's MIT Quarterly, here, they're admitting this. And people like, listeners would be tuning in going, you're nuts. Because back then you couldn't just say, here, I posted it on the internet, go look at it for yourself. I'd have to have like the actual MIT thing. And as I covered more and more of it, people were freaking out about it when they found out it was real. I told the story, I was at Conan's Pizza one night. I remember the night because my first wife, water broke a few hours later. I was working late, finishing a film, went down like 10 o'clock to get a pizza down the street. This guy goes, pushed me in the back, and he goes, I went to UT, got a biology degree. He was drunk. He goes, he had beer in his hand. He goes, I used to listen to you, but there's not human-animal hybrids. That doesn't exist. And I said, when were you in UT? He was an older guy. He goes, like 1975 or something. I go, yeah, dude, stuff's moved on. He goes, you're a liar. And I said, how about you get out of my face? You touch me one more time, I'll break your neck. I mean, that's what I told him. I said, a little bit angry, been working real hard.
Alex Jones talking about beating people up. This calls for a revisit to our favorite Alex Jones clip. And yes, by the way, I'm about to have some exact references to voting from Alex Jones because this is MINDSHOCK and I always bring the receipts.
Walk out of a restaurant. They're having a biker rally, and it wasn't like a walk out of a restaurant, and they're having a biker rally, and it wasn't like a nice biker rally. Most rallies are nice people. It was like thug wannabes rode up with a motorcycle and were revving it, looking at me, and I was thinking, okay, all right, that guy's taking his helmet off. I'm going to punch him in the throat the minute he tries to get up and do something, and then I'm going to assault those next three guys. Then they'll probably pull a weapon. I need to take that. I mean, that's what I'm thinking whenever something like that's going on. I can't help it. I'm thinking, all right, I'm ready to kill. I mean, that's just how I am. And I'm thinking, all right, okay, instantly assess these guys. These are probably ex-con, real criminals. I've got my 3 kids here. I'm a white guy. That gives me, just turbo dinosaur power. And I'm thinking, control yourself. Don't have a fight unless you've absolutely got to. The man in me is ready to take them all on. You know what I'm talking about out there, don't you? You scum. I hate gang members and filth. And it has nothing to do with black people. I'm a white guy. But I will stomp your head in if you start a fight with me, you thug scum.
What a great clip. What a great clip.
Probably had too much caffeine. I said, touch me again, I'm going to break your neck. He was like, oh, but the point was, it's like, he was drunk. He goes, he had beer in his hand. He goes, he was drunk. He goes, he was drunk. Oh, well.
Alright, it's coming up here. The thespianism is going into high gear right here, so everybody buckle up. It starts right here. And I don't know how long he goes. He might riff for a while here.
Hours later, I was working late, finishing a film, went down like 10 o'clock to get a pizza down the street. This guy goes, pushed me in the back, and he goes, I went to UT, got a biology degree. He was drunk. He goes, he had beer in his hand. He goes, I used to listen to you, but there's not human-animal hybrids. That doesn't exist. And I said, when were you in UT? He was an older guy. He goes, like 1975 or something. I go, yeah, dude, stuff's moved on. He goes, you're a liar. And I said, how about you get out of my face? You touch me one more time, I'll break your neck. I mean, that's what I told him. I said, a little bit angry, been working real hard, probably had too much caffeine. And I said, touch me again, I'm going to break your neck. He was like, oh, but the point was, it's like people just can't get this through their gourds, okay? And they just keep it right into the service, but admit they're doing it. So I started seeing about 10 years ago articles all the time by leftist publications going, oh, well, if 2 gay men want to pay a woman to have a surrogate, it's not their genetics, and they love each other so much, let them have a baby, and there are techniques. It's not a baby when you take 2 men's genetics and splice them. And I'm not a biologist or a genetic engineer, but I've studied it, and I've talked to genetic engineers. Let me explain something. There is a certain way a sperm and an egg combine in mammals, okay? And then what comes out of that and the way that all splices is unbelievably complex and beautiful. Women carry a whole nother mitochondria DNA that goes all the way back to the beginning of wherever we came from, God. And that is absolutely essential in everything else that goes on in the body. And they don't even know how it works. But they have created all sorts of chimeras, mixed species. They've also, with pigs and things, 2 male pigs, splice their genetics, creates all sorts of deformities, freakish behavior. The ones that live are usually either retarded or psychotic. So, I mean, this is real mad scientist stuff. But like, oh, The Netherlands is set to pass a law changing the definition. I mean, here's your takeaway. The Netherlands is passing a law, it's close to passing, to change the definition of what an embryo is. It's not a man and a woman's sperm and egg coming together and having that literal flash of electricity under electron microscopes when the sperm goes through. Magic happens, flashes, energy pulse. Literal flash of electricity under electron microscopes when the sperm goes through. Literal flash of electricity under electron microscopes when the sperm goes through.
That was an interesting sound effect. I wonder if that's the actual sound that it makes. I mean, how good is Jones at relaying this information? Where babies come from with Alex Jones.
Magic happens, flashes, energy pulse. And now they say in the bill I've got right here that it's anything we want, including someone making a clone of themselves or changing their genetics and creating a humanoid version of themselves. So really, it's having something you own that doesn't have rights, that I guess does stuff for you. It's got a chip in its brain to control it or whatever. And then whenever you need blood or whether you need kidneys or an organ, you got it. This is The Island, the movie The Island, in your face. The guy that made that's a big Epstein guy.
Which, by the way, I actually named The Island the greatest conspiracy movie of all time. If you haven't seen that breakdown on MINDSHOCK, let me just double check that I re-uploaded it. Maybe I didn't. Hold on one second. Oh wow, I did not migrate that over from MINDSHOCK. Hold on one second, let me get that done right now. Okay, so I will premiere that I'll premiere that tonight. So after this stream, I will premiere the greatest conspiracy movie ever podcast tonight. So good on Alex Jones for making me double check that it's on this Bruce McGuire channel, because it is not. Alright, so let's bring the receipts here. Alex Jones made an entire documentary on the fraud of elections, and then he's telling people to vote. It is kind of weird. Is that Jeff? Jeff pointed that out for us? That is kind of weird. This documentary is from 2004. It's literally titled American Dictators Documenting the Staged Election. So, let's look at this here.
In our country, right?
I think the American people are owed impeachment proceedings in the House of Representatives.
Those who criticize the Patriot Act must listen.
Year after year within this happy grove, our fellowship bends thee for a space.
A world where you only have choice on the surface, but in reality, you're a complete and total slave.
I mean, man, that's true prime Alex Jones right here. I mean, look at that delivery.
On a global plantation.
People need to understand this administration lied to the nation.
Fair use, obviously, here. Nothing but fair use.
About 9/11.
Terrorism must be looked at from all points of the globe, not just America.
Is that Gary Busey? Is Gary Busey a conspiracy theorist? We have to do a Gary Busey podcast.
I tried to warn the American people of the dangers that I saw emanating from this administration.
The war on terrorism is a thin cover for the war on dissent.
They'll swear up and down a bill is going to give
politicians and in the generals working with them, you have nothing but evil.
You need to answer real questions instead of lying.
You were both in Skull and Bones, the secret society. It's so secret we can't talk about it. What does that mean for America? The conspiracy theorists are going to go wild. I don't know. I haven't seen the web. Number 322.
You both were members of Skull and Bones, a secret society at Yale. What does that tell us?
Not much, because it's a secret.
Is there a secret handshake? Is there a secret code?
I wish there were something secret I could manifest.
322, a secret number?
There are all kinds of secrets.
If this were a dictatorship, it'd be a heck of a lot easier. Just so long as I'm the dictator, 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 I'm the dictator.
American dictatorship. What is an American dictatorship? Well, it's the system of power, the system of control, our real form of government in this country. The American dictatorship is the powerful global corporations that own and control the military-industrial complex, giving you false choices so you think that you have a decision to make in the 2004 election. But either way, a blue blood from the East Coast wins.
Those guys were both members of the secret society at Yale, right?
I have on my website, Infowars.com.
So we're not getting this new guy is no better than the lone
Here's
guy.
the deal. If you believe Reuters, they're third cousins. If you believe the Associated Press, they're ninth cousins. They're both ninth cousins to Hugh Hefner. They're members of the same secret society, only 15 members each year, which admittedly was set up in 1832 to overthrow the U.S.
And we only have 800 living members of that organization, but you can count their members as 3 presidents, 8 CIA directors, many of the heads of the Fortune 500. And they work in concert together to bring you the unfolding police state, to bring you these criminal wars of aggression against sovereign, innocent nations.
So what does everybody think happened? That Jones got taken in by MAGA, like got hoodwinked? Or was Jones controlled op the whole time? See, I've floated this theory before, the McGuire theory on Alex Jones. Because Alex Jones, coming out of high school at 18 or 19 years old, and he gets a radio show? Like, we're not talking about some kind of internet independent, self-financed YouTube channel where, like, kids do that all the time. We're talking about back in the 90s. Back in the early 90s. Alex Jones comes out of high school and gets handed a radio show? A recent high school grad just gets handed a radio. How often does that happen? Has that ever happened? And so I find that suspect. Now, that doesn't mean he was in on anything. I mean, he was pursuing the career or whatever. Is it possible he was being MK Ultra'd or psyoped at the time? Whatever. And at whatever point, he was allowed to kind of run amok and run wild and say whatever he wanted, and then he received a visit at a certain point in time. And then he acquiesced, because what if the nature of the visit was you could talk about anything you want except these 3 or 4 things, or whatever. And that's why people call Jones a gatekeeper. So he doesn't necessarily lie about anything, and he genuinely covers and tries to help what he can, but he avoids whatever issues he was told to avoid. And as a result, he's not taken out of the picture, like, for example, Bill Cooper. So, I wonder, I kind of wonder if it was all of the demonic stuff that he wasn't allowed to talk about. Like aliens being demons, UFOs, interdimensional stuff, which now he talks about all the time. But back then, I think Bill Cooper was one of the only guys talking about that. Like the staged alien invasion, Project Blue. I mean, Jones jumped on that at a certain point, but I don't know if that was after Bill Cooper was no longer alive. And Jones kind of piggybacked Bill Cooper. I have to do a whole show on just their feud. Now, I suppose we'd be remiss if we didn't go over the theoretical possibility that they were both MK Ultra'd or manipulated into feuding with each other, if they're both the good guys and if neither one of them was controlled op. And so that's how they did, they wanted these people, they wanted the good guy, divide and conquer. They wanted the good guys fighting with each other, so that's less energy to fight against the Illuminati or whatever. But anyway, so Jones making entire documentaries on the illusion of choice and the fraud of elections. And then as soon as Trump comes along, so who are Jones's handlers? My theory was that Jones at a certain point, he wanted to become a real patriot, and he reneged on the deal to gatekeep. And he went scorched earth on the Illuminati NWO and just reported anything and everything. And then the whole Sandy Hook targeting happened after that to reel him in, and now he's possibly more compromised than ever. That's one of my theories. So maybe, maybe not. He started off as controlled op. Then he went... And again, for the goofs who hallucinate this is impossible, look at how many so-called bad guys or people who regretted their decisions. They flipped. They went to the other side. You can call it growing a conscience. You can call it whatever you want. And these are some of the greatest heroes in history have done this. So... Or even, you know... Smedley Butler, whatever, Marines, like these mercenaries for the state who just sell their soul and go to war. Then they come back, realize the evil of their ways, and then they switch sides. They're no longer the status mercenary. I mean, you see this all the time in many ways. To think that Jones somehow, it's an impossibility that this could have happened with Jones, that's kind of strange.
Bush, Kerry, and Hefner, odd cousins.
Oh, you
CBS
found it.
News.
Well, understand, anything I spew out is documented up one side, down the other. I don't care how crazy it sounds.
You're right, though. Check this out. Hugh Hefner,
Welcome, Haley. Dragon Tracer.
Hefner was quoted as saying, "I would be delighted to invite President Bush and Senator Kerry for a family reunion." CBS News confirms that Bush, Kerry, and Hefner are cousins.
It's very important to know that this film has been made in the course of the last 12 months. And time again on my own syndicated radio broadcast, and as we made this documentary, I said, look, it's going to be Kerry. Even when Dean was ahead of Kerry, I said, it's going to be Kerry. Think of that. Out of 290 million Americans, we have two people from the most elite secret society in the United States, only 15 members tapped or chosen each year. And this is who we get for our presidential candidates. Out of 290 million, two people from the same organization that just chooses a couple people every year. It's absolutely incredible. Can you guys open website audio up on the air?
Actually,
You can go to Infowars.com or PrisonPlanet.com right now, scroll down, and it says Skull and Bones, and you can play the clip of Bush on Meet the Press a few weeks ago saying, yeah, it's so secret I can't talk about it.
Okay, let me play this.
Yeah.
See if it works.
You were both in Skull and Bones, the secret society.
It's so secret we can't talk about it.
What does that mean for America?
Well, is it me or is something really wrong with this guy's face? Is this some kind of reptilian glee at revelation of the method or humiliation ritual, laughing at the masses voting for this, and they're going to eat this all up? I have no idea who this guy is, but look at this weird face.
The conspiracy theorists are going to go wild.
I'm sure they are. I don't know. I haven't seen the web.
Number 322.
First of all, he's not the nominee, and look, I look forward.
Are you prepared to lose?
No, I'm not going to lose.
Wow, it's like he already knew the outcome, right? I mean, listen to the determination in that vote. Not determination, but predetermination. The matter-of-fact nature in which he said that.
They are. I don't know. I haven't seen the web.
Number 322.
First of all, he's not the nominee, and look, I look forward.
Are you prepared to lose?
No, I'm not going to lose.
Kind of skipped over it, didn't he?
Well, he just said it's so secret I can't talk about it. Now go down. Under that...
Oh, so he was serious? I thought he was kidding.
Under that is Lord Kerry on Meet the Press about a month earlier.
You both were members of Skull and Bones, a secret society at Yale. What does that tell us? Not much, because it's a secret. Is there a secret?
I mean, look at that. If that isn't the face of mocking humiliation ritual, what is? I mean, all voting is kind of a humiliation ritual for them, right? So the powers that be can just sit back and laugh at the sheep as they pretend they have a say in their own subjugation.
Secret handshake? Is there a secret code?
I wish there were something secret I could manifest.
322, secret number?
There are all kinds of secrets, Tim, but one thing is not a secret. I disagree with this president's direction that he's taking the country. We can do a better job, and I intend to do it.
He laughs, too.
Wow. Do you know what? Do you know what's interesting about that clip? They both gave the same
answer,
short answer, and moved on to the next subject with a chuckle.
With a little chuckle in between.
No, I'm saying it's all staged.
That's pretty weird.
So we have these cousins who are members of the same secret society who have sworn an oath to each other above all other oaths.
I mean, look at Jones just dropping these truth bombs. I mean, I don't know. Is he a modern day Paul Revere? I've given him that label before. Controlled op or not.
And they admit, even in the mainstream media, but laugh and say, oh, it's no big deal, that these so-called leaders engage in bizarre occultic rituals. And it's so weird that the general public has trouble even interfacing with it. There's kind of a cognitive dissonance that we don't want to believe it.
And look at Jones dropping the phrase cognitive dissonance back in 2004. I mean, that's kind of interesting. That didn't really get popularized. I don't remember hearing that a lot until maybe 2016-ish. This is 2004. What a pioneer. A pioneer in coincidence theorist psychology is Alex Jones. Jeff says you can always count on people every 4 years, even if you've robbed them blind. That's a humiliation ritual, if you ask me. Yeah, and good job, Jeff, bringing up this deviation by Jones on voting, because this might be one of the best ones, if not the best. This might be the best, absolute best example of Jones kind of flip-flopping an issue. Because he was so against the charade and the fraud of the voting system back then, and now he's saying vote. It is kind of weird, isn't it? It is kind of weird. So shout out Jeff U1P for bringing this example.
We cannot ignore it. It's right out in the open.
What about the Skull and Bones?
Lots of leaders. Fly to San Francisco, or you can fly into Santa Rosa. You can even fly into...
You said that because you're a man, that's how you found out. That's...
You don't even know it. This is what they are. A world where you only have choice on the surface, but in reality, you're a complete and total slave on a global plantation. A feudal serf.
I think...
So yeah, he made an entire documentary on this. Alright, let me get a clip here from, let's see here, this is November 4th, 2002, so this is even earlier than this. So let's listen to this clip here. He is on the radio with Greg Palast, November 4th, 2002.
The network proudly presents The Alex Jones Show, because there's a war on for your mind.
Stories of the last year. In fact, one of the biggest stories ever, and I'm serious when I say that, about 1,000 pages getting leaked out of the World Bank, and of course the defection of Stiglitz, the chief economist of the World Bank, their plan to implode economies, their four-part plan. We're going to recap that today and get the latest developments from this investigative journalist, who I would call a populist, because they're decadent cycle, and
and him to threaten
me that they're going to fight communists when they're telling us that China is our ally, when they're selling political dissidents organs, giving nuclear reactors to North Korea. I watched the History Channel. They now admit the CIA actually put Mao into power. They put Fidel into power. They helped prop Ho Chi Minh up until 1963. It's the same story over and over again. They call somebody a communist when they want the natural resources. Or now, I guess it's not communist. They call them terrorists.
Yeah, and yes, communist doesn't work too well anymore. But and once again,
World Bank, IMF plan, and Stiglitz
screamed My books, by the way, are very popular in Turkey because I try to explain what's going on, what the World Bank and the IMF are doing.
Well, I'll tell you what, let's explain it. Can we revert back to that interview about a year ago concerning the four-part World Bank IMF plan and Stiglitz and break down those 4 points? I mean, this is a big deal. I mean, people are saying, why are the economies imploding? And the government's saying, give us control of your lives. We're here to save you, when their own documents show they're engineering it. Please go over that, sir.
Okay, well, what happened is that about a year ago, I received a good 1,000 pages of documents from inside the World Bank and the IMF, the International Monetary Fund, based out of Washington. These are the two organizations.
The IMF, the International Monetary Fund? I wonder if the Tom Cruise Mission Impossible movies with the Impossible Mission Force, the IMF, is related in any way.
Which work in coordination with the WTO, World Trade Organization, and they are in control of the world movement of capital. They are, in effect, the central banks and the kind of treasury departments for the planet. And of course, they work very closely with banks out of New York. Now, I say, of course, I had to get this information from inside. So I'm looking at these documents.
Well, it's the same private owners of the stocks of these banks, Dutch royal family, British royal family, and others.
Well, what you have is that you have...
We haven't discussed the IMF, the International Monetary Fund. It's kind of weird. Nobody's talking about it. How many people have actually talked about it? The International Monetary Fund is an organization of 189 member countries that works to foster global monetary cooperation. It has a key position in promoting the health of the world economy, established 1944 as part of the United Nations system. So, to all the coincidence theorists who hallucinate that there are no string pullers or puppet masters of all the countries, I mean, what more do you need than all of these public, just all this information is public on these funds and organizations specifically, where you have almost every country being a member of? Like, what more do you need to prove that there's a concerted effort involving all countries in the world? It's just kind of weird. Like, a lot of the coincidence theorists, bootlickers, they still maintain all these countries are independent.
In the documents I have, and I have some of them, photocopying my book. I'm going to try to get more on the web, etc. I've just been kind of going from one case to the other. GregPallas.com. I'll be putting up more. And by the way, the U.S. version of my book, much expanded, will be coming out in February. But in the meantime, for BBC Television and the Guardian newspapers, which is considered the most prestigious of papers on the planet, I received these documents, and they'd say, official use only, don't look at this, World Bank, you have to be authorized. And on each cover it says Argentina, Bolivia, Venezuela, Botswana, and it has all these nations, and it has for each nation an economic program. And you look at the economic programs, and some of them have most of them have these very nice names like poverty reduction strategy. You think, boy, oh boy, they're really going to help out these.
Jeff U1P on fire in the chat here. BIS Bank runs the IMF. That's the ultimate bank which to be looked at. They are based in Switzerland and don't like publicity. I don't see where they run the IMF, but BIS is the Bank for International Settlements. It's an international financial institution established in 1930, over a decade prior to the IMF, in Basel, Switzerland. It is the world's oldest international financial organization, and again, some people believe Switzerland itself is simply a founded country of the Knights Templar. I went over that a little bit on some of the podcasts involving the Knights Templar. The primary mission is listed as to foster international monetary and financial cooperation and to act as a bank for central banks, providing services exclusively to member central banks and other international organizations. So that's actually kind of interesting. The BIS itself, owned by 63 member central banks, representing countries that account for approximately 95% of the world GDP. So basically, for the goofs that hallucinate that there are no controls or string pullers for the world economically or otherwise, I mean, these are all admitted. This is all open, admitted, public information, and yet you have coincidence theorists still hallucinating that there's no means of controls for any kind of a worldwide conspiracy.
Nation. So why is it secret if they're going to be so helpful? Have you ever heard of anyone kind of secretly helping someone? So it's why the secrecy? And you open the stuff up, and these are programs which point by point. I mean, they go on to sometimes 100 pages, and they have specific demands on each country, which if they don't agree to it, they call them conditionalities. And they averaged 114 conditionalities per nation. You get your international finance is cut off unless you agree to the whole package. And one nation after another, it required the sell-off of water systems, of electric systems to foreign operators. It required the sale of the banks to foreign operators, allowing...
So again, this is a great interview actually here. So not just monetary, but also resources, water, etc.
Changing rules to allow banks to remove the capital from nations. And one of the most tragic cases I saw was Argentina, where the economy was where the
and they call it the IMF riot. They know it's going to create riots.
Oh yeah, well one of the things I should mention is that in the plans they say we know, for example, in the case of Ecuador, it actually says that this will cause
10% of us are going to die. This is an incredibly... They say if we follow their orders on all the factories and on the streets, or they say on page 31, 80 to 80+% will die in major cities. They say if we follow their orders, only 20% of us are going to die. This is an incredibly chilling document. America's still unprepared. America's still in danger. Report on the independent task force sponsored by the Council on Foreign Relations. And these are all the Carlyle Group people. These are all the names you expose.
Yeah, Alex, I know the Council on Foreign Relations is always doing a great job of saving us from ourselves. In a democracy, I prefer the vote to the council.
Well, certainly in our constitutional republic. But what I'm trying to say here, Greg, Palace, is that what's in the IMF plan for total takeover by the international banks is exactly what's in this 40-page report.
Yeah, it's the same group. In fact, Stiglitz told me, he would say he'd sit around with people in the U.S. Treasury. Remember, also Joe Stiglitz, who was the chief economist of the World Bank, he was in Clinton's cabinet as the chairman of the Council of Economic Advisors, and he'd say, some of these top guys at Treasury, I can't give you the names he gave me, but you'd recognize them, would sit around and say, well, does this policy, how does this policy float with Citibank? They literally sitting there, at the Treasury Department, and it's like, he's saying, these guys didn't even hear themselves and understand what they were saying, or maybe they did and they just got so used to it. Hear about named Azurix, the fresh water that comes out of the Everglades, which right now any of the cities can take the fresh water from the Everglades without cost to consumers. At the moment, the water is being contaminated by sugar plantations, the Franjul, the guys who, weirdly, the Martin Luther King Voting Reform Act of 2002. I'm sure Dr. King is spinning in his grave.
But Chucky Schumer's co-sponsoring that, which shows that some of the Democrats are...
I know. I'm very nervous, because you know what it is? It's really an incumbent re-election insurance plan. The Democrats like it, and the Republicans like it, who are in office, because, for example, the news, the NAACP has... The company is based on...
Wired magazine reported that hundreds of grocery stores, dozens of chains have put pressure sensors under the tiles on the floor, biometric face scanning cameras, and microphones. This is in hundreds of stores right now.
He's reporting this in 2002. Think about that for a second. This is 2002.
And they are building digital algorithms, psychological outlays by your purchases, by how long you linger, by what you do. Then they instantly upload your credit card purchases into an NSA databank. That's Wired magazine. I mean, this is going past Big Brother.
Well, you have to understand that...
He's talking about algorithms in 2002.
The new anti-terrorism law has a provision which I found very... that concerned me greatly. For the first time, the U.S. Justice Department will be entitled to access private databases like this company, ChoicePoint.
And they can share.
And you know, it used to be that you had to go to a court. You know, the Constitution under the Fifth Amendment says you have to go get a warrant to get in, to break into people's homes, in effect. Well, breaking into a private database, the courts used to say that's the equivalent of breaking into someone's home. And now under the anti-terrorism bill, U.S. Justice Department has the right to kind of go leafing through computer files without a warrant.
Well, the sneak and peek provision, Section 213, says they can do it in your actual home, business, library, and then order you, if you catch them there, to not tell anyone.
Now, I'm very concerned about this, especially with ChoicePoint and its DNA database. It's because I don't like the combination of the fact that this is the company that, through its database manipulation of the voter rolls in Florida, they, in effect, by computer, chose our president, and now he's chosen them for the biggest contracts under the anti-terrorism.
By the way, I have a report here out of Ohio where they're going door to door to collect blood samples and just asking people to do it. They're now taking blood from all babies in all the major states and admittedly putting it into this database. Were you aware of that?
Now that's just really chilling. That's really chilling. Taking blood from all babies in 2002 for a database. Yeah, home births are a great option.
Yeah, well, you know what they're doing? They're saying, for example, like ChoicePoint, this company that selected our president, and now they're making billions. They are doing things like they got a big play on ABC television saying that they've been able to spring innocent men from jail who had committed rape because they use their DNA. Or accused of committing rape because they use the DNA database to prove that they're innocent. So in other words, they use a couple good things that they use with the database, or that they find a missing child through the DNA database. So everyone says, "Oh yeah, take my baby's blood." Well, you know, before you do that, there's nothing unless they give you a contract that says this will only be used in case your child is missing or lost, and you agree to release this information.
Well, the Supreme Court has ruled that they can take that blood, get a protein out of it or a genetic system, and then patent it. Also, they can frame you with it.
Well, the problem is, I just think that, you know, there's the new expansion of using the cover of anti-terrorism to break into our personal files, lives, and even our DNA sequences. I just worry whether that actually makes us a lot safer. And, you know, what we're not doing, and on the other side of the coin, is our buddies, the Saudis, who this week announced that if we do attack Iraq, they're not going to give us any help.
Let's talk about that in a second. Let's take a few calls, or we'll never get to them.
Believe in it, but to a skeptic, how can I prove beyond the shadow of a doubt that W1999 is a legitimate document?
The book, I'm going to have it in the updated version of my book, an actual copy of these documents,
you
which
have
comes out in February. But there is right now. There's a book called the Forbidden Truth, which was just put out in its English edition, which has added some of these documents. All W199 says is that it shows that the U.S. FBI had closed, and then on September 13th of 2001, 2 days after attacking World Trade Center, reopened an investigation of the bin Laden family, indicating that the investigation had been previously shut down.
Look, I read the document here on air. The thing is online. It was in 9 major newspapers. You can go to Infowars.com, print it off. You've got the government blocking investigations of Al-Qaeda, of the bin Ladens, of Hamas. We've got FBI agent Robert Wright. We've got Judicial Watch head Larry Klayman and David Shippers at the National Press Club giving an hour-long press conference of how they were blocked from stopping Al-Qaeda and hijackers at bases. That's been all over the news.
Well, I should also mention that there's a massive suit brought by the attorney Motley. And I think it's Richard Motley. But it's a multi-trillion-dollar suit for the victims of September 11th against the Saudi government.
And the New York Times just reported that that's being thrown out.
Yes, because the U.S. government is sensitive to their network.
On Infowars.com.
All right, so there you have it. Possibly the biggest deviation regarding Jones on any topic being voting. Okay, let's continue the thespianism here in yesterday's episode.
Notice Epstein's obsessed with all this. And what's Epstein in the emails talking about 15 years ago? Normalizing all this. And how the transgender movement's good to get you used to this, so you'll accept chimeras, replicants, clones. This is just like, oh, let's just slip in. Oh, yeah, it's for the LGBT. Oh, we made a creature. It's liberal.
I mean, this isn't quite Prime Jones, but this is Jones in high gear thespianism that I haven't seen for a little bit.
Don't be mean to the gay people. Slip in. Oh, yeah, it's for the LGBT. Just slip in. Oh, yeah, it's for the LGBT. Slip in. Oh, yeah, it's for the LGBT. Oh, we made a creature. It's liberal. Don't be mean to the gay people. Netherlands considers radical legislation allowing embryos from 2 men or 2 women. LifeSite News on Infowars.com. Dutch Parliament is considering changing the legal definition of an embryo to include a human being created from the genetic material of 2 men, 2 women, or even 1 person. I'm calling on the international community to do something about this extreme disease that's in charge of the Netherlands. Author and commentator Johannes Konerdot implored in a video message last week. Let's get them on. Producer Scott, Daria, get them on. He shared that Parliament had just discussed, and it's moving forward, new legislation that would allow embryos to be created from the genetic material of 2 men or even from 1 self-fertilized egg of 1 person. The law would serve as an amendment to the Dutch Embryo Act, which currently prohibits the creation of embryos just for the use in experiments. Only excess embryos from vitro fertilization may currently be used in research. The bill opens the door to recognizing lab-created embryos while stipulating that the existing development limit on the embryos used for research would still apply. Embryos may not be developed outside the body in the country for more than 14 days. But now they're going to legalize it and bring it to term. Dutch parliamentarian Gideon van Midgern, sorry, I'm butchering your Dutch, decried this during a recent session of the bill's proposed changes to the legal definition of an embryo is disgusting. Changing this is disgusting. In the new definition, alongside the classic embryo that was formed by the fusion of an egg cell produced by the female body and the sperm produced by a male body, in other words, the embryo that we once were all, in addition, a number of other entities are also explicitly brought under the definition, he said. That includes experimental embryos created by nuclear transplantation, which was used to clone the sheep dolly, and embryos created body cells such as skin cells that are reprogrammed into sperm and egg cells in a petri dish. What could go wrong? See, no mitochondrial DNA. He pointed out that the technique also for the creation of an embryo from 2 people of the same sex or 1 person or even a human-animal hybrid.
This is like really creepy stuff, by the way. Are there still goofs pretending that everything Alex Jones says is wrong? I mean, the guy is literally reading from news outlets, government documents. I mean, when has he ever purported something to be true from like a GeoCities blog or something? Not that it would be false. I mean, a lot of GeoCities blogs from the 90s it's all true stuff. I've gone over a lot of them. So, yeah, we don't fall for genetic logical fallacies here, but I mean, it's weird how people think Alex Jones reading mainstream news is all fake. Alex Jones reading government documents from government sites, all fake. But somehow what they believe is real? It's just weird. It's pretty weird.
Chairman, here it is.
Explicitly, and here you see a case, Spike Prime, who has
lock in time, maybe, who knows. But just get it, please. So that I told the Israeli official, because they want to drag us into it. It's even more cuckoo.
We're going to top money defend fruition
behind the scenes and publicly saying, open the effing straight. The Iranians are getting through the blockade. But all they railed Trump's people, before you run your mouths, get your head out of your ass. They're going to close the damn thing. We'll be right back. 92% chance. Remember, we broke this before it was even out. 92% chance the regime doesn't fall, and basically 100% chance they close the strait indefinitely. And they've studied their psychology. Then Israel advised Trump to kill the mullah when all the advice was, don't ever do that. And when you, but Alex is low IQ. When you can, kill two birds with one stone, help people. The listeners love it. And it's all baked in. They can try to suppress gold and silver. It's not going to work. Overall, in the last 2 years, look how much it's up. The best investment out there. We don't steer you wrong. But I told the crew, I said, hey, get a clip of Kirk. Well, they got a clip of me. But there's so many of Kirk going into great detail about it, what would happen. And so I want Trump to succeed. That's why I got in his face when he said I'll destroy a whole civilization in one day and never to return. That's the definition of genocide. And so that's not going to happen. If you drop nukes on them, they're not going to give up. And we'll be an international pariah. Israel was selling nuking them. So I went, 25th Amendment, Trump, if you don't stop. And I knew he'd attack me. And I knew a bunch of listeners would get mad at me. But hey, that's better than nuclear war. I have a responsibility. So I pulled the emergency brake. And it got his attention. You notice he said, okay, no nukes the next day. No nukes, and we're not going to... But Alex is low IQ. Hey, I'll take that every day. And we even sell the low IQ hat. Oh, yeah, I'm very low IQ. I've had the whole globalist after me for decades and changed the whole world with the listeners supporting us. You all did that. Did it together. Yeah, I'm real low IQ, folks. I'm real stupid.
Oh, man, this is funny. This is funny. Oh, man. Now, he's still, again, are nuclear weapons one of the conspiracies he's not allowed to touch? It's kind of weird. You would think he would have gone into that. Same thing with the moon landing. It's just weird. Now, not going super deep into flat Earth, that kind of makes sense. If he doesn't want to alienate his listenership. And, although, on the other hand, I mean, I don't know. If he really wants just the truth of the world, you would think he would have went harder, at least into the examination of flat Earth, but I don't know. But regarding the moon landing, so he thinks, again, and I explained why he thinks it happened, even though the footage is fake. That makes sense if he believes a lot of the documents he saw about, whatever, aliens on the moon, or all this other advanced tech, breakaway civilization, top secret bases. Although I haven't really heard him talk about the top secret moon or Mars bases in a long time. There was some reference to that also around the early 2000s. I need to dig those up. I'm not going to do that now. We're going to be rounding this out soon, but yeah, we need to dig that up.
Running circles around these people. Get your low IQ hats right now, theauctionsword.com. So, Dr. Elliott, I mean, this what I'd love to say your predictions are incredible, and they have been, or my prediction, ooh, I'm incredible, we got this right. This was known. This is not a hard prediction to make. But now we're getting the numbers in, and it looks like worse than we even thought it would be only 56 days in. Remember, the numbers are always about a month old. So this is only like a few weeks in this has already happened. U.S. consumer sentiment falls to record lows on inflation. Asia spiraling, supply shock coming for...
I am kind of surprised he didn't really examine the nuclear weapons not being real conspiracy theory. That's definitely suspicious and points in the direction of controlled op.
America down. I knew that this... So... When Biden, it's a big, I had to get really aggressive. You so hard to die. Resist a more of a hour Saturday show. I said, or look at these two of America handle press briefings. And this is lore I had to learn studying these people. And I'm like, this is deep lore. This is like, I'm like, what's that? Check that. And deeper lore. So they're telling you, here's my business card. I'm into Satanism, pedophilia, kidnapping, murdering, torturing children. Already played the clips. And then they sit there and just laugh like a bunch of hyenas as they do all this. And the Democrat Party and the Kafka's law firm and Senator Blumenthal and their PR firms raising $300 million, their charities off me, saying I did stuff to them and I made money off them, and none of it's true, and then rigged court cases and all of it. It's just unbelievable. The crap they've pulled, the things they've done, the CIA, the DOJ, in-court documents behind the whole thing, and then they turn loose a bunch of satanic court jesters, gremlins, don't feed them after midnight, to then run around and say things like this. I played the clip yesterday. I love wearing the man's skin. I'm like Leatherface. Onion's Tim Heidecker plans to erase Alex Jones from Infowars. These are all quotes from him. So they don't want money. They don't want settlements. No. They want to silence me. They want to hire actors that sound like me. It's disgusting. So here's a clip of him in response. Oh, it's just a joke. Ha ha ha. But you see the content. No. And just all these people. And we showed footage inside the Onion with him there yesterday. And it's all soft soy white men. You know, obviously, you know what? It like in their war against civilization. And they even talk about it. Oh, he rides around on horses and thinks he's tough. Well, we're all ganged together and we're going to get him. We're the nerds. And John Ronson, that barely even knows me. I mean, I saw him at Waco, infiltrated Bohemian Grove. He interviewed me a few more times. He's like, all the news. I'm the Alex Jones expert. And he was run out of Dallas because he beat up all the nerds. And they lured him to a farm and tied him up and knocked all his teeth out. Just 100% made up. But it's all about, we're the nerds. And we got him in a farmhouse and we knocked all his teeth out. Just totally made up. Totally insane. But it's all about narrative. It's all about origin story, about stealing my identity. They're obsessed with creating false narratives about who I really am and what I stand for, because I'm, in their own statements, I'm the archetypal Carl Jung rebel, populist, folk hero, call it what you will. That's how they see me. In Rockefeller Foundation stuff from 20 years ago that got released 15 years ago, I've showed to you. They're like, this folk hero iconography is very dangerous. We must destroy him. Destroy him, or you will be eliminated. And then what they throw at me is like, oh, we can say all the lies we want to. We're just court jesters. Ha ha.
Oh man, Jones is gearing it up a notch here.
So we can say all the lies we want to. We're just court jesters. Ha ha. So it's wild. I mean, it is absolutely crazy town. And then I have a member of the UK British Parliament. I'll play after that. It's talking about the Epstein files and what has been covered up bipartisanly. And the fact that it's mainly Democrats in there, but still the cover-up continues. And that's really the ultimate sin and the original sin of what Trump has done. It's just absolutely disgusting. So we'll play clip 22 right after all the symbols that's deep pedophiles out, all crazed. Yeah, living with the devil ain't good. Tax-free foundations and PR firms raise $300 million. Ooh, they're getting money up with Bloomberg. Ooh, I'm making fun of you and misrepresenting you. Ooh, and wearing your skin. I'm going to wear your skin. I know I'm scary. Ooh, let me show some shows about kidnapped kids we raped to death. Aren't we cute? Aren't we funny? It's so funny. It's not even funny. Hour after hour after hour of beating children and raping children and simulated and real babies crying and just totally gross scenes of little children coming in and sitting all around a bathtub and defecating all over people's faces. You're like, it's funny, it's funny, it's funny. Really, I can just go aim a camera at the airport toilet full of crap and go, look, it's funny. Ha ha, I'm a genius. It's modern art. No, it's an insult to everybody's common sense. It's a ritual. So that's what these people do, folks. And they think, oh, they're the big champions taking on the big mean bully. And they're all into how, defeated they are and how well, we know we're pathetic. We know we're scum. We're into it. It's just, they're Renfields, folks. They're servants of the spirit of Dracula. So let's go to those two clips. Here they are.
I am going to make a big announcement right now, and that might affect our relationship, Ben. I am pledging myself to Satan and to the Prince of Darkness. And,
I read about this last night on a website. I read about it on Infowars.com.
Yeah, it's been out.
Why do all these people have the soy lisp? Like, it's always a soy lisp.
there, and now I'm here to confirm that I am a soldier for him. I am a soldier for the Prince of Darkness, and I hail him in a lot of ways and respect the hell out of the devil. And Doug and Vic, if you're going to continue on this journey with me, I need you to pledge your ultimate loyalty. You're just a guest. You don't have to get involved.
I have definite feelings, but I won't share them now.
You should be respectful
Wait,
of
Doug,
my beliefs.
Doug, is the outfit because you're not wearing his skin suit today? Is that what's going on? You're trying to hide it?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, the adrenochrome injection kind of affected my skin.
I want to get to all of Alex's reactions to this because they're they're funnier than I thought they were going to be, I think. Is that Bert Kreischer? Or is that...
I know, I thought it was the machine at first.
Yeah.
We're talking about male rape. We're talking about female rape. We're talking about child rape. We're talking about child impregnation. We're talking about male sodomy of drugged victims. We're talking about president after president of the American Republic accused in FBI documents of raping men and women, boys and girls. We're talking about murder. We're talking about cannibalism. We're talking about the eating of human flesh, sacrificed in satanic rituals. And it's all in the Epstein files. There's millions and millions and millions of pages to see here. And on virtually every page, another politician.
You know what's crazy? I mean, you know you live in a full satire reality when all of these brain-dead coincidence theorists who said that because who remembers 10 years ago, 20 years ago, everyone was being made fun of, especially around the rise of MAGA and Trump's first candidacy run. They were saying, oh, you're crazy. You believe politicians are involved in satanic rituals and abusing children, etc.? That's all nonsense. Like, how could you believe that? Remember coincidence theorist Cope back then? Pre-COVID, pre-Epstein. And there's still the fact that you have literally millions of pages of documents. There's also audio, video, etc. I mean, how much more, and I ask this question many times for coincidence theorists, never underestimate coincidence theorist Cope. How much more evidence could there be? Is it possible to have even more evidence than there already is? Now, obviously there is, because there's plenty, there's millions more that have been redacted and not released. But if, and this is a question I ask in the Columbine case, many other cases, of the brain-dead coincidence theorists, if they're willing to release this, what are they not willing to release? And now, coincidence theorists, if they weren't single-digit IQ, if they were capable of critical thinking, deductive reasoning, etc., they would realize how scary that question is. If they're willing to release this, what are they holding back that they are not willing to release?
Another magnate of the capitalist system all over the world is revealed to be just about subhuman in their appetites, just about demonic in their proclivities, in their predilections, and they talk to each other about it in writing, in emails, in messages. They talk about torture, they talk about killing, they talk about murder, they talk about kids, they talk about child trafficking, they talk about the impregnation in the last few minutes of an 11-year-old girl by the former U.S. ambassador to Mexico. Wow. It's breathtaking, and it keeps on coming. It's like a torrent of sewage. It's impossible to keep track of it. It's only when you go back and start to painstakingly analyze it that you see the sheer depth of depravity, of degeneracy. It turns out I'm the only politician in the Western world that isn't cheating on his wife, that's never sodomized anybody, never dreamt for a second of the depravities involved in these Epstein files, and they're all at it. The captains of industry, generals of industry, they're now resigning as these revelations come out. The royal families of Scandinavia, one of the princesses, she might even have been the queen, I don't know, a bicycling queen, but a queen, was impregnated by Jeffrey Epstein. And then he encouraged her, which he presumably did, to have an abortion. It is unbelievable.
And they're all in your face with it, and then the comedy everywhere is pushing it. And they're targeting our children in the schools, the drag queen story time, all of it. They know exactly what they're doing. This is their coming out. So here's a clip. I see these every day. I have dozens of these today. Florida Democrat Judge Tiffany Baker Carpenter let out a man who was traveling to meet a minor for sex. Was released, been released many times. The man went on to murder a 5-year-old. And the left's defending it. Here's a clip.
Kill his stepdaughter.
They come back and say on Monday, absolutely his head would have been bounced off that concrete. And on anybody really working with finding sales on
wood energy producing today's for the mind.
Game Theory 18. 6 million bombs on Vietnam. They didn't give up. We've dropped 20,000 on Iran. Trump we blew up a lot of stuff. There's been Pentagon assessments. They're unanimous. Don't do it for decades. Okay? So I don't want to hear, are you for the mullahs? I wouldn't cry if they disappeared. It wasn't going to work. The dog wasn't going to hunt. Above Israel even needing this as a political diversion for Netanyahu with criminal charges, and he goes to jail in October, is the Rothschilds and BlackRock wanting a global shutdown to take control. That's been their austerity plan. I said it before the war. I said it the last 56 days. I'm right. And I don't want to be right. This was not a hard prediction to make. So, yeah, now everybody's like, oh, well, they'll get oil from us now and liquid natural gas. Blah, 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 blah. The supply chains aren't built up. Already, a third of the fertilizer in the growing season has been delivered. All the international agencies are reporting it's going to cause mass famine next year. That means revolts, destabilization. This is scientifically known that when you spend half your paycheck on energy and food, you get unrest. 60% you get war. Okay? They're running out of jet fuel all over the world. This was war games. This was known. And people just I think the mullahs are fall. I was having Easter dinner with family, and there were about 9, 10 people there, and everybody agreed, and they're all Trump supporters, that the war was bad, except my dad. And he's like, well, I didn't like the war, but now we're there. We got to save face, and hopefully they'll fall. It's just my dad's a smart guy. I'm just yeah, okay. It's well, we're in this fight. It's not like you're fighting some dude in your backyard, and you got to win the fight. It's baked in, folks. It's a setup.
What's weird is Jones can't see that regarding NASA. It's actually interesting that he's almost mocking his own father here regarding this war, but he can't see that's his own reasoning when it comes to NASA. Save face, etc., etc. That's actually kind of interesting, isn't it?
Well, we're John Wayne, so we're going to just keep doing it, and we'll just escalate it if we need to, and well, really, it's a master plan of Trump. No, it's not. Out of the people in the meetings telling him don't do it.
Let me catch up with some of the chat here. Smokey says, I just want to be left alone, be self-sufficient. Government detests that sentiment, indeed. Smoky Quartz says, some poor county in West Virginia or Tennessee, these people practically don't exist on paper. Nobody cares about the poorest places in the U.S., and that's where people are actually free. Blooded Sky says, have you been to West Virginia or Tennessee? They have their own issues. Well, let me counter that by saying I think West Virginia is the least COVID vaccinated state in the country. And there's also the dead zone. I don't know how many hundreds of square miles or thousands. It's either hundreds or thousands of square miles. Probably would be hundreds, right? It's not that big. Let me check. Oh, wow. It's 13,000 square miles. 120 miles in each direction. And that's where supposedly there's no Wi-Fi. And it's no cellular service and very limited radio transmission of all kinds. So they might have problems, but they don't have those. So all of these issues potentially caused, some people believe are caused, I don't claim anything is true or untrue. Some people believe that there's issues caused by certain medical treatments regarding COVID. And Wi-Fi and radio cellular transmissions, they don't have those problems in West Virginia. So yeah, they might not have money, but yeah, different types of problems, sure. But yeah, cities are tough though. Jeff says we should be able to live in cities and not get taken advantage of and robbed by taxes not being experimented on. If we leave, who will save the rest? It is a logic response, but not the right thing. Well, see, that's one of my major issues with the Tartarian narrative, that these cities were all great. I'm not sure about that, and I'm not sure the Tartarians were the good guys either. Let's say they did have free energy, and let's say the cathedrals really did use organs and frequencies to heal people. Let's say that's all true. That still doesn't mean they're the good guys. Could have all been a front. But yeah, I don't think cities, I don't know, cities just don't seem natural. There's just something about having a farm or cabin in the woods that just seems like a more natural, healthy lifestyle. Cities, by design, just seem to be these industrialized, factory-dense, apartment building-dense areas where humans can just be subjugated and exploited for profit by design. So I don't know, it's kind of hard to say that city life can or should be saved in any way. And if there's a natural, whether there's a natural or unnatural disaster, I mean, imagine just the mess or zombie outbreak. I mean, cities are the last place you want to be, regardless of anything.
I've had family that war plan at the top of CENTCOM for years. You don't think they haven't war gamed this up the ass? You don't think they haven't had AI 10 times better than they have run every calculation? I told you months ago, Israel hits them with a nuke, Pakistan's going to hit them with a nuke. 2 weeks ago, Pakistan said, we will nuke you if you nuke them. This is already war gamed. I'm sorry I read war games. I'm sorry. I know for those of you who just like football, you know every play and how much this player weighs and what he bench presses and who he's married to. I don't know all that stuff because it don't matter. I do know.
Well, it might matter if nukes aren't real, though, Alex Jones.
About neutron bombs.
Neutron bombs now. Interesting.
And I said before the war, I said Israel might hit Iran with neutron bombs. And then they had the Israeli minister 2 weeks ago saying, we got neutron bombs. We might use those. And the head minister goes, don't tell them. They start laughing on TV. I've already war gamed this. Nobody talked about.
I mean, I guess the point still kind of stands. They have advanced bombs that can cause a lot of damage. But, yeah. Tinted... What is it? Hold on, let me get the screen name here. Is it Tint Eduyumayan or Tinted Yummian? I believe a new great age of exploration would erupt once Antarctica opens up and the one world government agenda collapses. Interesting.
Neutron bombs until I did. Okay, I know this stuff, okay? I just sit there and explain it to people. It's just, it's so frustrating to be informed and then watch a bunch of people that can't even find Iran on a map boil it down to, well, you're for the Muslims then? We've been set up by BlackRock for economic disaster. Just watch. I'll be right. And you'll still be mad at me because you want to be lied to. Chris, finishing up with your Game Theory 18. Go ahead.
What prophetic words from the one and only Alex Jones? I'll be right and you'll still be mad at me, like pretty much Alex Jones' entire history. Crazy stuff. Crazy stuff. Jeff U1P says, after a nuke, radiation should prevent growth of plants for 100 years. I've heard Hiroshima and Nagasaki look pretty green to me. Yeah, again, I mean, we might just be splitting hairs. Like, I mean, obviously it matters if they're not real and it's all just agents of fear propaganda. But they also obviously do have extremely powerful bombs. So, I don't know. I don't know on what level it really matters. What difference, like, whether they drop tens of thousands individual conventional TNT bombs or one big nuclear bomb, if the damage caused is the same, does it matter? Is this just another distraction? Dragon Tracer, I kind of blew my voice box out laughing at Konstantin Kassin, the stupidest individual I've ever seen, last week. So my voice box is kind of messed up. I can't really laugh hard, but... I haven't listened to a lot of Goatis, Aaron Crypt. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Goatis or Goatis? Goatis. Jeff says, if the land is inhabitable or not after is the point. Yeah, there is a point, but I'm talking about, like, destruction or amount of lives lost in the attack. Smoky Court says, I'm interested in the debate between carnivorism and veganism. Well, I would argue we need to add omnivorism to that. But anyway, I'm going to wrap this one up. So yeah, in about a week and a half, I'll have a lot more free time. So I'll be dropping way more of all the podcasts I'm behind on. Appreciate everybody's patience. If you want to help support the MINDSHOCK podcast, you can donate to our PayPal. Check the link in the description. Make sure you subscribe, like, and share. Twitter, Facebook, Reddit, Patreon. This is Bruce McGuire signing off. Catch you guys next time.